Well, Sister Pam, I am so delighted to sit with you and have this conversation. And you have the distinction of being the first person that I get the privilege of interviewing as part of Calvary's 165th year anniversary. And the focus of this is essentially so that members just get to know a little bit more about each other.
Correct.
Right. 165 years, isn't that amazing?
Yes, it is.
So what year did you become part of the Calvary family?
I became part of the Calvary family in 1976.
Wow. Let's do the math on that. So 1970, what's it like, 46 years
46
ago?
years.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
See, I paid attention in school. I know how to do arithmetic.
And I was baptized, I think it was June of 76, and it was Reverend Reginald McLean.
Wow. Reverend R.D. McLean. I
Yeah.
remember him very
Yes.
well. He was pastor when Glenda and I
Yes.
came here in 1980. Yeah.
And my husband's family, who, they had been here in Ithaca for a while, they belonged to this church.
Mm-hmm.
And I came, with Al.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm originally a Methodist.
Really? See, Pam, this is why I think this segment is going to be so informative for people, right?
Yes.
Now, here I've known you for most of the 40-something years that I've been here. I had no idea you started out as a Methodist.
I started out as a Methodist.
And don't take this as a cliche, but some of my best friends are Methodists. And I say it because I went to Livingstone College, which is the African Methodist Episcopal Zion
Okay.
four-year college
Okay.
down in Salisbury, North Carolina.
Yes.
So I'm not being facetious when I say that.
Right.
So you started out as Methodist.
Yes, I did. 'Cause
Now, where
I'm
was that?
originally from Maryland.
Okay, I was just going to ask you. So this was so your family, you were brought up in okay.
On the Eastern Shore of Maryland.
All right.
So, and I met Al outside of Baltimore, Maryland,
Okay.
because, of course, he was on a ship that was in the shipyards outside of Baltimore. That's how I met him.
On a ship, like working, was he in the
No,
Navy?
he
or
was
he-
Navy.
Wow, so I didn't know that. I am so glad that we are
Yes,
doing this series. I'm
I
finding
was-
all
he
this
was
good stuff
Navy.
about you, and we've only been talking for
Yes,
2 minutes,
yes,
right?
Yes.
That is awesome. So how long, I'm just curious, how long did he serve in the military?
He served 4 years. Yeah.
Okay.
And we got, we connected. And let's see, what year did we get married? I think it was, let me get the time here. I should remember, but it's not always easy.
Okay.
I think it was about 65.
Wow.
And, it was a year later we got married, because back then you waited a while.
Oh, yeah. They get married younger and younger nowadays, right?
Exactly, yeah. But he was 21, and I was 3 months away from 21, so we
Okay.
were close in age. And
All
we
right.
always had a joke going in between the kids that he was older.
About 3 months, right? Yeah.
than I was. Because, actually, let's see, April. He's April, and I'm September. So
Okay. Just a few more months.
But, yeah.
So I'm curious. So your family so you brought up Methodist.
Yes.
So how was the shift? Was there any significant shift from a Methodist tradition to Baptist?
No, not as far as I was concerned.
Okay.
Because even though I was Methodist, this is the other thing a lot of people don't know. I had an aunt who was holiness. or
Okay. Pentecostal. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I went to church with her quite often
Okay.
when I was growing up.
All right.
So I've had a broad spectrum of religions.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but basically my family was Methodist, but she was Pentecostal.
Okay.
So,
All right.
yeah.
So you and Al got married. You said somewhere around 65 or so.
Yes,
You were still in
yes.
Baltimore,
Yeah,
in Maryland.
65, yes.
Still in Maryland.
Yes.
So what brought y'all up here to Ithaca?
Okay, we were living, after he got out of the Navy, I actually went to the West Coast with him for a year.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in Port Hueneme, California,
Wow.
because he was on ship at a CB base out there.
Mm-hmm.
So we were in Port Hueneme, California. So I was there a year. But then when the Vietnam War broke out,
Oh,
him
yes.
being on this ship, he, went overseas.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there, and I was pregnant with my son, and I just came back to the East Coast to be near my family.
Okay.
My mother and father were in Philadelphia by this time.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got out of the Navy, he came to Philadelphia. We stayed in Philadelphia for a while. So we've been in some major cities.
I see that,
okay?
yeah.
Stayed in Philadelphia for a while, but he could not really adjust to that city life,
Mm-hmm.
having been grown up here in Ithaca. Not born here in Ithaca, but grew up here in
I
Ithaca.
see. Mm-hmm.
So he came up to Ithaca to find a job before I came up. He worked for Ithaca Gun when he first came here.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes,
Ithaca
yes,
Gun.
yes.
Uh-huh.
I came up, let's see, when I came up, it was 69. This is why I can remember certain things that went on in 69.
A lot went on in this community in
Yes.
1969.
Yes.
For benefit of people who don't know, why don't you summarize one of the most
Okay.
catalytic events that happened in
That
69?
is when the students at Cornell University, the African American students, took over Willard Straight Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were objecting to how they were being treated.
Mm-hmm.
know.
Absolutely.
And they went in with guns.
Yep.
And nothing really went down as far as the guns were concerned. But when they came out, they were coming out with guns.
Mhm.
Okay, this was April. I think I came up here in April
Wow.
looking for a job, and I didn't want to go to Cornell.
I can
because
understand
of
why.
all of this was going on. So actually, I got hired for NISEC out there in Dryden, town of Dryden. But there was no bus transportation or no way for me to get out there.
Mm.
So when I applied, I finally decided, well, how am I going to get out there? We didn't have but one car, so, I said, okay, I'll go up to Cornell. This was after the takeover at Willard Straight Hall. Now here comes a African-American female who has some experience coming, applying on the campus. There was not many of us there.
And this is 1969.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Yeah. So I got hired on the spot because I had worked in Philadelphia for Albert Einstein Medical Center,
Oh, wow.
and I had been trained in accounting. So when I came here, I said my experience was
Okay.
accounting, And I was hired at Olin Library as a head account clerk.
Wow. Awesome.
So, that was my end at Cornell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Pam, this is really interesting, and I couldn't be more delighted to be talking to you as the first person to interview, because let's remember that a number of people, some that are new to the Calvary family, many who are certainly, unlike us, not senior citizens and may not remember a lot of things. But I do want to touch on just for a minute two significant things related to Cornell in those early days. Number one, when you talk about the Willard Straight takeover, that literally was a national event.
Yes, it was.
And was a catalyst for the advent or the developing or the emergence of a number of black studies programs across the country.
Correct.
With Africana Center under the direction of Dr. James Turner being one of the first. But during that takeover, there was a member of Calvary Baptist Church who recently passed away who had a role, or at least was connected to that in a way that most people don't know.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell them?
Well, he was a deacon here at Calvary during my time here. That was Deacon Thomas Turner. And we connected with Tom Turner. Well, I always call him Tom. So after Al came up to Cornell, started at Olin Library. He left Ithaca Gun. He didn't go directly to Olin Library. Just to get in Cornell, sometimes you had to start as a janitor.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where he started. But see, I was already working at Olin Library, so I was keeping an eye out for certain things that were coming across. Then he got hired at Olin Library. Okay, I left Olin Library, and I went to the School of Industrial and Labor Relations. which was next door to public safety. Okay. He applied at public safety. And I don't know whether you remember, his name was Melton. He was the dispatcher there, Richard Melton.
No, I don't.
Okay, Richard Melton was a dispatcher there. I don't know what happened, but he was no longer in the job. Al applied for that job. Okay, he became a dispatcher. In the meantime, he's connected with Thomas Turner, because Tom was always looking out for, our people.
Absolutely.
And he suggested to Al that he apply for the patrolman's job. That's how my husband became a patrolman at
Cornell.
Safety.
Okay.
At Cornell.
Okay. And so you mentioned Tom Turner and the Willard Straight takeover. The distinction he holds is that of being what?
He was the only African American patrolman at Cornell at that time.
Absolutely. And that picture, which you actually sent to me and I was able to send to his family for his obituary, as I said, he passed away a few weeks ago. That picture was like in the New York Times, and it was national news.
It was
the
in
takeover,
books,
in history books and stuff like that. That's right.
History books.
So, so y'all came back to Ithaca, or you came to Ithaca. Al had grown up here, and were your children born here?
No, well, one.
Okay.
My son was born in Philadelphia.
Okay.
So, we came here. I think he was 2. My daughter was born here.
Okay. So you had grown up Methodist. Al had grown up here.
Baptist,
His family was a member of Calvary.
Yes.
Okay. And so you all obviously just as a family just got further grafted into it.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was around when?
Okay, that would have been, let's see, gotta think back here, because I came to Calvary in, what did I say? I'm trying to think exactly. I came here in 76, and I was baptized in 76. So when I first came here, I didn't come to Calvary. Or if I came, it was just occasionally.
I see.
But then, when I finally said, okay, this is it, I'm going to Calvary, and we came on a regular basis, and we came as a whole family, I will remember Deaconess Annie Hardaway approached me about being an usher.
Okay.
She was the first one. I just thought she was the sweetest lady there was. But that's I still say I came to Calvary in '69.
Okay.
Even though I had moved up here earlier.
Right. So this was I remember Deacon Hardaway, and you're saying that his wife was the one who approached you
Annie,
about.
I think her name was Annie Hardaway.
Okay, because you know who I remember and who recruited me as an usher, Mrs. Annie Boone. Was it Annie Boone or Anna Boone?
Yes,
okay,
yes.
2 different people, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Mrs. Boone was the head of the usher board when I came to Calvary.
Got it. Okay. So the first active ministry that you became involved with was
the usher board.
ushers. Okay.
I did not sing.
Okay.
It's not like I could join the choir. So yeah, it was the usher board.
And Pam, you're still ushering.
Yes, I am.
So was there a period where you took a break, or have you just literally continued ushering?
I continued to usher.
That is amazing.
As a matter of fact, my whole family became ushers.
Oh, that's right.
Al,
absolutely. I remember
It
that.
was me,
Yeah.
it was Sean, and it was Tanisha. So when the Jenkins were missing, we always took, we kind of ushered together. So if we had a particular Sunday and the Jenkins were out of town, somebody else had to take over because none of us were here.
Oh, my God. I love it. I love it. That's
But
awesome.
Sean is the only one of my children that actually joined the church.
Okay.
And he was baptized here. Tanisha never did.
Never did. Okay. Okay.
But you kind of let kids make their own
You do.
decisions.
You
after a
absolutely
while,
do.
But, yeah.
You absolutely do. So, oh my goodness. So, 1969, came to Calvary. You became an usher, the first active ministry you became involved in, and you have done that consistently. And Pam, you've done a number of other things too. And
Yes,
let's
I
talk about some
have.
of these hats you have worn here, and some of these significant roles you've held.
Well, I was a trustee for a while.
Well, with an accounting background, I'm sure I'm surprised they didn't recruit you for that first.
And when I first started, I worked with Ed Scott
Oh my goodness, Ed
and
Scott.
Joe Nesby.
Oh my goodness, I remember them both so
Yes.
well.
So, but I think I wasn't really an usher, but I would help them with their accounting and stuff like that.
Wasn't really a trustee, you mean?
No, I wasn't really a
Okay.
trustee.
Okay.
I became a trustee at one point.
Okay.
So I became a trustee. I was head of the greeters ministry. I was head of the women's ministry.
Mm.
So, I mean, people that are around here now would not have known that,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are the different hats I want. I even used to do the coffee hour downstairs with Eartha Lee Broughton.
Oh my
You
goodness.
remember her?
Oh, very well. Absolutely, of course.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I worked with her down there.
Oh my goodness.
And then after she kind of, I guess, fell away, I worked with Johnny Wright
Mm.
down in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we would
Yeah.
just do the coffee hour.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've had my hands in different little things over the years. But
Well,
the most rewarding to me and the one I've really stuck with is the usher board.
okay.
You know,
Oh, I can tell.
because, I met some good people
Yeah.
on the usher board, people that you got along with.
Mhm.
Because I don't have no problem with people because I'm the type of person, I can do my own thing.
Right.
And if things bother me, I just keep on stepping.
You keep on stepping. You do. You do. And Pam, I have to share this. So, with you having, when you say among the most rewarding, well, perhaps the most rewarding has been the usher. Everybody knows Pam Jenkins Smiley takes ushering real serious.
Very seriously.
You remember it was just a few months ago, and I came in. I love wearing my mud cloth and my various African attire from time to
Yes, I
time,
do.
and I had my little hat on, right? That kind of matched my outfit.
Of course.
I think I'd gone around to put my offering in, and as I was coming down the aisle to go back to my seat, you said, "Now you're gonna have to take that off."
And sometimes I would not say anything. But
Pam.
sometimes I would go point and go
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want to cause a disturbance.
Right.
During
But I loved it.
disturbance.
It was funny to me. It was, and it was no offense or no anything
Right,
like that.
and
I just know.
knew that.
I said I know that this is Pam takes ushering very seriously, and she should.
Yes.
And but Cal, you got to take the hat off. So, and I was absolutely fine with it. And I think because it didn't have a bill, I was saying this ain't really a hat. It's just a head cover. I don't care. I don't care nothing about that. It's on your head. Take it off.
But, I know that in the Muslim religion,
Oh yeah,
they wear
sure.
their hats. But I said, Cal is not Muslim.
So you need to take that hat off. I get you, Pam. I love you for it, my friend. So you know what else? So you talked about these various roles you've had, and you've obviously done them very, very well. I mean, I can't even imagine the size of a plaque when you finally, quote unquote, retire. But one of the unofficial roles that I, and I'm sure many longtime members here will immediately associate you with, it wasn't an official role, but in terms of business meetings and things like that, if there were ever something that I couldn't remember or I wasn't clear about and didn't have access to the minute, call Pam. Because Pam Jenkins Smiley and Martha Smith takes
ask questions.
y'all ask questions and y'all take good notes. And I'm serious. And I'm kind of joking about it, but I mean that to me, even though it was an unofficial role, just knowing that there was someone
Somebody who's listening.
yeah, somebody listening, somebody who's thinking, somebody's asking really good questions. And what do people say about questions? Often if somebody asks a question, other people in the audience got the same kind of question.
But they wouldn't answer.
But they won't ask.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And so I have really always admired the fact that you in particular and also Sister Martha, these questions, we want to
Yes,
know,
yes,
right?
yes.
And that's
Yeah.
good.
And I enjoyed coming definitely to the business meetings. But now with the Zooming, I've always sat in the back.
Right.
I can't always see that screen as clearly as I used to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that becomes a problem. So the last couple business meetings, I don't think I came. Because from the screen, I recognize certain voices. But just to see them clearly, I couldn't see them clearly. It's all a part of the aging process.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So not that I don't care about what's going on in the business meeting. I certainly care. But that's my reason for not coming for the last couple times.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if I came up closer, I could see. I've always been that back.
In the back, yeah.
In the back.
Absolutely.
Because of being an usher.
Right. I love it.
Yeah. We could catch things from back there in all situations. And there was the usher's bench. And a lot of times I sit right in front of the usher's bench in case the usher who's there needs help. I have no problem getting up.
Right. Right.
And I thank God for that because I'm able to do it.
Now, that is so interesting. Well, it's insightful. It's one of those small things that, that's why she sits in the back. Not that anybody might necessarily wonder, but it makes perfect sense, given your longevity as an usher and your ongoing
and
decades
I'm
commitment.
Even if it's a new usher, at least I can give them some direction.
That makes a lot of sense.
Or if you have a question, or if you need me.
Yeah, and Pam, to me, that's a great example of, okay, here's what we do. We're the ushers ministry. Nobody told you, sit in the back or whatever. It's because you're so committed to it,
exactly.
You position yourself to be available
as needed.
As needed, exactly.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really good right there.
I think the most memorable occasion is when we went to Syracuse to the church. I don't remember the pastor's name, but we didn't allow walking here at Calvary doing prayer and scripture. And this minister was walking toward me. I mean, we were there as the guest church, and we, as ushers, were there too. And I stopped him. He was the minister of the church. And he mentioned that a couple of times. You've got an usher here who stopped me from walking in my church.
I love it. That's so good.
I'm sure Reverend Wright will remember that situation because I think he was, doing the sermon that day, whatever the occasion was. But I never will forget that. They said, you stopped him from walking
in his own church. But you know what? That is, and people will laugh at that, and it is funny. But the embedded message there is that you take ushering seriously,
Exactly.
And out of respect and out of reverence during prayer and reading of scripture, I don't care who you are, you just be walking around up in here. No, that's good. I really like sharing that.
And I'm not so sure some of the younger people understand that. When they come here, because we block that door.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of times, and I never will forget. I don't remember his name, but Al and I had an ongoing thing. Now we were both pretty tall, so there was somebody who always wanted to walk straight in. So Al and I would just stand shoulder to shoulder. We're gonna stop him from coming through here today. Sometimes that guy would go on the other side. So, there was some funny situations, but nobody got angry. We weren't angry. We were just doing our job.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We were told you wouldn't. I mean, I was under Annie Boone.
Oh, yeah. I remember her well.
She was strict, too.
Right.
If the church was crowded, she would stand there and tell you, now you got to move over, So...
Oh, I remember those days so very well. And as I said, I joined the usher board in my early 20s under Annie Boone.
And Deacon Turner was an usher.
Yeah.
At one point.
Now, you know what? I didn't, as well as I knew Deacon Turner and served with him on the deacon board for many years before he moved back to Alabama. I didn't even know he had been on the usher board, and you pointed that out.
In one of our programs. Because as I became secretary, or I was even head of the usher board at one time, but also becoming secretary too. I got all the old sheets, of their programs. So I saw his name there, and he was not Deacon Turner then. it was just Thomas Turner. And then later on, in another one, it said Deacon Turner.
Right.
He was listed. So we've
Yeah.
had several deacons who have also been ushers.
Well, including me. I mean,
And
I
Johnny Wright.
and Johnny Wright, absolutely, absolutely. And you know, historically, particularly in the Baptist church, certainly the Black Baptist church, the entree to or the entry ramp to service at various levels for a lot of folks has been the usher board, right?
Yes.
And Reverend Wright,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's right.
He started as an usher.
As a kid. You know,
Absolutely.
As a child. Yeah.
So you've mentioned some of the most rewarding experiences and some of the memories. The reality is that, you know, as Langston Hughes wrote, life ain't been no crystal stair in the life of Calvary, right? And so having been here for 40 plus years, as have I, you know, we've seen some challenges here.
Yes, we have.
And, you know, so we're some of the older time members.
Yeah, and sometimes we've had public, you know, things that's gone out into the news, and people would leave.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not leaving.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not here to worship man.
That's right. That's
I'm
good.
here for Pam.
Amen.
You know.
Amen.
So I just never left.
Good.
You know.
Good.
So
Yeah, we did. You know, we had a couple of things that certainly a lot of people
Took
know
place,
about. And some people did leave, you know.
yeah,
But
yes, they did.
the remnant stayed. And I think it was more than the remnant. I think the majority of folks stayed here, and Calvary has endured because there's some very strong members here. And as you say, you know, you come.
And if you've got strong faith.
Strong
you know,
faith, exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
You're just you're gonna be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's
absolutely.
why I just never thought, you know, some people went to other churches or they just stopped coming.
Right,
You know,
right.
but I didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
You know, I said, it all will level out at some point.
Yeah, it does. It does. And in a place in a church like ours, where you know there's a long history and some members had been here for a really, really long time, people had experienced different types of leaders over the time, and you know men are fallible, and some make mistakes, some make bad decisions. We certainly had that situation here a few decades ago, but. Because the history of this church, 165 years, I mean, that's just incredible.
Yes, it is.
And during those most turbulent times that we've experienced, certainly within the last 4 decades or so, that I think that history, you know, we had the Anita Reeves still here as we went through those things, and we had other people, some of the names that you had already mentioned, and folk who had come in and just kind of got grafted into the culture of Calvary, the history of Calvary, and it was strong, and we were resilient, and by God's grace, we endured.
Yes.
Even
I remember some of those older people, you know, Vivian Morgan.
Oh
you
my
know.
goodness, yeah, the church clerk,
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes, yes. So, you know, and Mrs. Reed, and, you know, and those were the ones that really stood out in your mind.
Absolutely.
You know, Vivian Morgan, Anita Reed, and Mrs. Hardaway stood out in my mind because she's the one who approached me.
Yeah.
Because, you know, sometimes you come in church and I just was coming in worshiping, but, you know, she stepped up to me, you know. So, you know, yep. I said, oh, yeah, that's something I can do.
Yeah.
Can't sing, but I can do that.
So we have 2 services here. We have obviously our, excuse me, our 9 o'clock service that used to be 8, and now it's 9, and we have 11. So which service, do you go between both, or do you prefer one over the other?
No, I do the 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know as an usher, somebody has to be here. And some people, the younger people, of course, we don't have that many now, they're not going to get up and come that time of morning. I'm an early riser.
Okay.
So why not
Right.
come
Absolutely.
to church? And I usually don't come back at 11 o'clock,
Okay.
you know. But if I'm needed, I come back.
Okay.
Like on, you know, Easter Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was here on Easter Sunday, so didn't do 6. I think Deacon Wright did 6. Yeah, and let's see, was I here at 9? No, I guess I stuck with just the 11 o'clock service because that's where we were needed the most.
I see. I see. One of the reasons I mentioned that is that since we both came here, roughly over 40 years ago, you before me, but we've been here a long time. We only had one service, and so
Yes.
everybody was there, right? And so now, like you, I'm an early riser, usually up by 5:30 just about every
Yes.
morning. And although Deacon Wright still gets on my case because sometimes, a lot of times, I'm still not here at 9 o'clock. and Deacon Wright will say, hey, man, church starts at 9. So anyway, but I tend to come to the 9 o'clock service. But I also occasionally want to go to 11. You know why? Because I'm like, okay, so we're a church family. And I need to see some of these other folks sometime,
Yes,
right?
we
And
are
so
kind
I don't do it as often as I probably will start doing it, but I do want to come because that's where we get a good number of college students from both
Yes.
Cornell and Ithaca College, and some of our regular members
That
or
come in
residential folks who are permanently in this area often come at 11. So that's the reason I do it, and so I was just curious.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
I have been at 11 o'clock, but like I said, I'm needed as an usher. That's
Right.
why I'm usually here. But normally, because we have so few ushers now, Johnny Wright and I decided we would handle all the 9 a.m. services. So I do the first 2 Sundays. He does the next 2 Sundays. And one Sunday, living up there on South Hill, my driveway was a sheet of ice.
Wow.
And I wasn't going to take a chance, because I have an incline. So I contacted Johnny and I said, I can't make it. Can you cover me? And he covered me for that 9 o'clock service where I should have been there on that second Sunday. And then the next Sunday would have been his Sunday, and I said, I can go this Sunday. So I came in and I covered for him.
I see.
He said, oh, I didn't know whether you were going to be here. I said, well, you took my Sunday.
Wow, nice.
It's only fair for me to take your Sunday.
Nice.
So,
Good.
you got to give. And that's why I say you meet on the usher board. I met some really nice people, and people I respect. And I will do anything I can to help you out. Now, I can come in here and I'm hurting like everybody else
Right.
sometimes.
Absolutely.
And I do find myself sitting down a little bit more now.
Yeah. It's understandable.
Yeah.
Got to rest sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are so the final question I'm going to ask you is, what has it meant for you to be a member of Calvary over the years that you've been here? What role has Calvary played in your life? And I'm gonna give you time to think about it, but I want to say 2 things first. As I sit here and talk to you, we talked about Al earlier. I was privileged to have been asked to be one of Al's pallbearers, and I remember very well, during that time when he passed away, and so I as I think about that and think about you and how you've continued on in service here at the church with strength and commitment and total dedication, that's one thing that I remember. The other thing is I remember, Pam, was I was sitting right over here on this pew, on this bench, on the deacon's bench, and you were standing at this door ushering. I hope I got the story right. and Ralph Brown started singing "Sending Up My Timber," I think it was. And was that your dad's favorite song? Is that the song that they sang at his services or something?
No, that was Al's favorite
That was
song.
Al's. Okay, all right. And I remember, and understandably, that was very touching for you. And you stepped out, and I stepped out, and that's what when you told me. So.
Yeah, I'm basically a pretty solid person. But some things will just, it will touch you.
Yeah. Well, that's a testament to our humanity. We can be as solid and as strong and as Superman and Superwoman as we want, but if there's not something that touches us at some point, then I would have a question about that. So, no, I distinctly remember that well. So. I've thoroughly enjoyed having this conversation. I've learned some things about you, and even more importantly, people who will be watching this have learned some things about you. So before you answer that last question, which I'll restate, if there's anything else that you want to add during this interview,
No.
okay?
I'm here. I'm rooted here, you might say.
Yeah.
You know.
So you've been rooted here for close to 50 years
That's
and
correct.
been connected with Calvary, not in a peripheral way, but in an almost an institutional way,
Yeah,
right?
I consider myself a background person.
Hmm.
I don't need to be up front.
Okay.
I don't need to be always behind the podium doing something.
Hmm.
I'm a background worker.
Okay.
That's the way I consider myself.
Hmm.
If you really need something done, if you ask me, I'm going to do it with all power in my hand. But I don't have to be at the mic. I don't have to be seen all the time.
Right.
But I will work the best I can
Yeah.
from the background. I'm a background worker. I really am.
Well, you're a very good one. You're a very good one. And just personally, I think about, you talked about a number of roles that you've had here. And maybe this is part of the greatest ministry or some other ministry, I don't know. But there have been times, when my mom died and my dad died and various other occasions have happened, when I was sick with the cancer and things, I always got calls from you, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I know I wasn't the only one, and so thank you for that. Background roles are often underappreciated,
Yeah, I know
but
that.
they are absolutely critical to the success
But
of.
I'm satisfied
Yeah,
with doing that.
yeah, yeah.
That's,
If it's your personality.
it
Yeah,
does.
yeah. and it really epitomizes the person or personifies the person. Say, look, I ain't doing this for the attention, the glory, the honor. I'm doing this because it's what I want to do.
Want to do.
Right.
And if I don't want to do it,
You ain't gonna do it. All right. Pam, I know you well. So this is, I have really, really, really enjoyed this conversation.
Well,
Again,
my journey here, it's over a lot of years, but I just enjoy. I know when I was raising kids and you were running here and running there, this was a place I could come and not have to worry about running anywhere.
wow.
I could sit and reflect and be at peace, that I don't have to do this. I can sit here. I know sometimes we went 2 hours, but that was okay with me because that was my quiet time. That was my decompression. I could decompress for the week.
Yeah.
And Monday morning I'm out there running again.
Right.
And going to work and taking care of kids and running kids to catch this bus or going to this game. I said a lot of basketball, believe me. You know I did.
Yes.
But yeah, this was the place that I came to and gave me peace, and let me just reflect. And sometimes it wasn't the message. I just liked the quiet solitude that I felt here.
Oh yeah.
And that was important to me.
Wow.
And it kept me going, because I think I've been here most Sundays at some point. And then some days I will wake up and I said, this is not the day. And like I said, when I decide I'm not going to do something, I'm not doing it. I'm not going today. But then the next time I'm out there and I'm going again.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's called decompression.
Oh yes.
It's all part of my, I guess, mental state. I have to do it for myself. I have to recognize it and do it for myself, because sometimes you feel like you're on a treadmill
Yes.
and you can't get off. But just coming here, it let me get off.
Wow.
Some messages really touch you, and then some, I'm not sure what they said. I was at peace while I was here.
Yes. That's great.
That's important to me.
Wow, that speaks volumes really about the role that a real church home can play in a person's life.
Yes.
And you've articulated that in ways that I'm sure will resonate to a lot of folks. And you know what, Pam? It's part of the reason I think that Calvary has endured for 165 years,
Yes.
because in the lives of somebody,
Exactly.
that's the kind of impact that this church has had.
And I loved Reverend McLean because at one point you also have relationship issues in your marriage. And I remember Reverend McLean came to my house and sat down with both of us.
Wow.
So that meant a lot to me.
Oh, my. Yeah.
Because it just kind of kept you strong and kept you looking at it a different way. That's the type of person he was.
Yes.
You know? And that meant a lot to me.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, listen, thanks for taking the time to share.
No
I've
problem.
thoroughly enjoyed this interview, the first of what's going to be several, reflecting on the tremendous history and the ministry of this church over the course of 165 years.
Yes, it's a long time.
All right. Thank you so much, Pam.
No problem. Thank
Bye.
you.